Charge bayonet! So today we are exploring Yorktown, the Revolutionary Museum here. We're going to check out the town. We did a pirate ship. We got some really cool photos. We're having a good time. Beautiful day. So stay tuned. The adventure continues.
Start bowling.
Well done. Keep pulling. Keep pulling. Good job. Well done.
All right. Keep holding it. Keep holding it. Now on the count of three, you're all going to drop the line and clap your hands. Give yourself a round of applause. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Well done.
And pass it through your loop, but don't pull it tight. Then you're going to take that same one and pass it through the same loop again. And then you can do it that way. Pull it tight. That's a barrel or stopper knot. Tie it at the end of the holder. This is a stopper knot, and it's great for basically, well, you put it at the end of lines most of the time, and it prevents, yeah, so you want to pass it through the loop twice.
Hold that down there.
Hold that wheel.
Why can't they go left and right?
Be the easiest.
When I shoot this off, I'm going to give you a big 3, 2, 1, and by 2, I want everyone to have their ears covered.
Ashy Bears, got it.
Ashy Bears. 3,
AJ, cover yours.
2, 1.
That's sort of me.
Lock musket. We call it smooth bore because there's no rifling on the inside of the barrel. Rifling is a groove that's etched on the inside of the barrel in a spiral shape for the entire length of the barrel. This is going to give the ball a spin when it comes out. They do that because a spinning ball is going to go a lot further and a lot straighter than a ball that's simply pushed out the end of the barrel. So if this weapon was rifled, I could pick out an individual enemy soldier 200 to 300 yards away and hit him with a shot from this weapon. But as a smooth bore, we say its effective range is only about 100 yards, quite a bit less. Well, why wouldn't they give out rifles to everybody then? A couple reasons for that. First of which, it's an expensive manufacturing process to put that rifling in the barrel, and the government's usually pretty cheap when it comes to providing arms and ammunition and food and anything else to the soldiers. Between rifles and muskets, rifles are typically custom-made hunting weapons, and they do not have a bayonet, because if you're hunting, you're not going to outrun a deer or a wild boar and poke him with that thing. So if you see a bayonet on the end of a weapon, you know that it's military use, not for hunting. Now, we also said that this was a flintlock, and that's because we have a piece of flint here as part of the firing mechanism. And the great thing about flint, which is a natural stone, is when it scrapes against steel, it'll throw sparks. So they may happen with that thing. What's going to happen to that poor defending soldier? He's probably going to die. but it's going to take him 2 to 6 days to do, because he's just had 17 inches of triangular steel shoved into his intestines, and he's going to get an internal injury. And if you've been over to the surgeon's tent, you know we have nothing to stop internal injuries. Once those germs get loose, we have no antibiotics. So we'll give you, if you get stabbed with a bayonet, we'll give you a cot, give you a Bible, maybe you'll make it, probably you won't. Take aim, fire! All right, so if anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them for you. Otherwise, with a good breeze, it wouldn't take much of an effort to set your whole encampment aflame. So what we're going to do here with these kitchens is keep the flames below ground level, so they're not going to cause any mischief. And they'll go through the effort of creating these kitchens, but the regiment's going to be in one location for at least 2 days.
Will be untouched. Everyone in some way is going to be impacted rather, by the pox, even those who don't get sick. Now, taking pus material and entering it into the skin, doing it subdermally by either making an incision or running thread through the pus material and under the skin is one way.
Talk about is a farmer that lives in York County. He does have a loom on his farm. We know that from a document, and that's all I know for certain. The question of is it in the house? I don't know. Nothing's written about that. How much weaving is going on? Our curators have only found evidence of 4 farms, they say, that have looms, which says to me not a lot of women are doing weaving, and they're not doing a lot of weaving.
On their land.
Now this farm, was it isolated or do you have close neighbors? Or?
I mean, somebody owns the land that you don't own next to them, but where they built their main structure of their farm and where you had yours, I mean, you could see them in the distance, you may not see them. It really would just depend on how you set it up. You would know who your neighbors are, but would you necessarily see them on a day-to-day basis? Probably not.
Not so easy to run over and borrow a cup of sugar.
Probably not. But yeah, super hot. Unlike today, you guys came out on a very nice, pleasant day, but if you've been out in the area the last few days, it was pretty atrocious. I was in my AC yesterday, so. But it is hot, it is muggy here, so keeping the kitchen separate keeps the heat to this room. It also helps build up the big enough fire that all that heat that we produce kills off that humidity. So all those goods that we were talking about storing, the salted hams, the dried goods, the pickled goods, less likelihood of molding and rotting on me.
I mentioned there may have been enslaved individuals on the farm. This could have been a job that they would help with as well. But the farm kids are definitely going to have a lot of chores and responsibilities.
Now what does that do?
It's brushing out all of the knots in the flats. So just like you would card wool or cotton and all those fibers, you're going to do the same thing to your flats plant. You brush it through the hackles or heckles. And what's left behind the finer fiber that we can use for making linen material. Actually, I'm going to open these back up and take the toe out of it. Toe can be turned into toe cloth, and toe is the stuff that's pulling out of the hackles or heckles. It's the rougher part of the flax, so the stuff that's left behind that has little knots and such in it, but you can turn it into toe cloth. Toe cloth is a rougher fiber, but it has a place on the farm if you want it for work clothes or maybe just making some rags or something. It's a rougher fiber.
So definitely come out and check this place out. I love this fencing. This is so cool. It's simple, but it looks great and it works.
Here's the yield iPhone. Here's your playing cards. You'll notice something lacking from these that modern cars have. Yeah, numbers. Illiteracy is a big problem. So, shapes and symbols are the best way to go if you want to have fun. Here's something.
Crews manning positions on the gun during the American Revolution. Anybody know the nickname that we have for these women? Anybody ever hear of Molly Pitcher? All right, Molly Pitcher's like a Rosie the Riveter. she's not any one particular woman, but she represents many different women who historically took on this role. So while I could not have been the gun captain, it is certainly possible that I was up there working a position, sponging that gun, helping to load and fire it. But guess what? It's not the 18th century anymore, is it? No, it is not. So I'm going to be your gun captain today because I can do all the jobs here today. So very good. Very much. At the back of the barrel, Jamie's going to show you where that vent hole is. That is where you build the fuse. If we were to drive a spike through that, can they build a fuse? If they can't build a fuse, can they light that gun off? No, so we've rendered that gun useless for now. Is that fixable? It is, but you can't fix that, on the open battlefield. It would take a little time and some skill. So for now, you've spiked the gun, you've rendered it useless, and you have fled. And you live to fight another day. Heavy artillery, that's right, but this is a light artillery piece, good for accompanying the infantry on the open battlefield. 6-pounder because it fires 6-pound shot, 6 pounds of iron. The gun itself weighs about 12 to 1,400 pounds. So when we talk about 6-pounder, 12-pounder, 24-pounder, what we're talking about is the size of the shot. Flannel cartridge of gunpowder that's already been pre-measured. We're using a sabot to attach these two things together. This is going to go all the way into the barrel. Are we sure that all of that is coming out? No, some of that flannel could still be inside. So the first artillerist is going to go to work with the worm and get out any of that cloth that might still be in there. Now that's not enough. It's a good start, but it's not enough because there could still be gunpowder residue in there that's smoldering. Do you want to throw a shot in on top of that?
Nope.
No, because then you could have an explosion you're not ready for. So we're going to go in with a wet sponge, put that all the way to the back of the breech, dampen all of that out. All the while, the artillerist in the back is going to be tending that vent with a leather thumb stall so we're not putting oxygen back into the barrel when we're doing all this work and fanning those flames. Now once all of that is done, we will go ahead and load it, putting the gunners at the front back to work. So the sponge can then be turned around, used as a rammer to pack that shot all the way to the back of the breech, and then that's when we will go through the process of building a fuse and lighting it off. All of this is going to happen fairly quickly. It's basically a cleaning process before you load and fire the gun. Now the last thing I'm going to do is blow the whistle because not everybody loves artillery as much as we do, and we don't want to catch anybody off guard. Gun! Attention! Search the piece! Clear! Loud! Get ready!
To the right about, place. Left. If everybody steps together, you all arrive together. All right? So be watching each other too. Watch the either side. Use your peripheral vision. Try to keep the line straight from side to side. To the front, march. Come towards me. Looking good. Look at that juggernaut. Halt! To the right about, face. Is rarely going to oblige you by swinging to me. Looking good. Looking good.
Uh-oh, all right, we gotta catch up this wheel.
You're taking this seriously. All right. Very good. All right, now we're going to kind of put it all together. We're going to take that ground at the point of the bayonet. Now, you don't have bayonets, but
you can yell and scream as you did. So we're going to start marching forward, and then when I say march, march, what does that mean? Not run, that's the double quick. So you move a little bit quicker, and then when I shout charge bayonet, I want you to yell for all your worth. Now, anticipate my command to halt. We're not going past the tent. Nobody needs to run into the tent and bounce off of you. We're going to stop before we get there, so be ready to halt. The idea is to stay together, because again, you're more intimidating them. All right, so let's try this. To the front, march! March, march! Charge, bayonet! Dress your line up, get that formation back together. Okay. How loud you can make. Here's to the continued success of the United States Army. Let's give 3 rousing cheers. Hip hip! Huzzah! Hip hip! Huzzah! Hip hip! Huzzah! All right, very good. Everybody standing at attention. Take care to disperse. March. Good job. I think General Washington would please. We've got some good material here.